say about 2020. The first thing that came to mind was, I don't like this roller coaster. It's not fun. Let me off. I'm writing a bad Yelp review. Oh, and also, I want a refund. Well, obviously it wasn't a roller coaster, and I couldn't get off. But thankfully, I learned a long time ago that even when the world seems crazy and out of control, there's still a lot of good in it. Sometimes you just have to look a little harder to find it. So today I'll focus on the good things that happened and led us here today. Last year, the pandemic put the world at a standstill. Most of us were under stay-at-home orders. Many couldn't work and therefore couldn't pay bills or buy food. Then we watched an outrage, the video of George Floyd, among other horrible events that took place last year. Many of us forgot that we started off the year with almost the entire country of Australia on fire. I said I'd focus on the positive, and I will, but it's important to remember some of the things that happened to really appreciate the good that followed. Mayor Moran often says we are each other's neighbors, and that is more true today than ever. But the events of last year made some of those neighbors friends, and maybe even family. After the video of George Floyd, the world was outraged, including us here in Reading. We marched alongside our mayor and the Reading Police Department in protest of what has been happening and chanting Black Lives Matter. Then about a week later, local LGBT activists became community organizers and realizing that not only did Black Lives Matter, but our trans siblings were suffering from the most violent year ever, falling victim to hateful and violent acts. These organizers, in display of love and unity, organized another march. Angel, Natan, and others brought our community out to not only peacefully march and chant Black Lives Matter, but they brought us out in support of Black Trans Lives Matter. With the amount of rainbows walking down Penn Avenue, some called it the city's first gay pride parade. But the reality of it is, parades are meant to celebrate. And we were all here to take a stand against hate and violence toward our Black and trans community. Later, the work continued. Everyone in the city was trying to help each other get through this. Grocery stores were offering free food to the children of the community. Teachers were walking the streets of Reading, knocking on doors and checking on their students, making sure their students had food. The mayor and our elected officials did a lot of that too. Our city has perhaps never seen so many food distribution events and clothing distribution events until last year. We've also never seen so many people step up to help. Angel, who organized the Trans Lives Matter March, later partnered with his best friend Tim to create the One Love Project, which has now grown into a large group who hosts many events for the benefit of those in need. And I can see from their beautiful t-shirts, One Love joins us today, so please give them a hand. Our own LGBT Center, led by Michelle Deck and its board of volunteers, was forced to grow at a rate they couldn't even imagine, expanding their services and the amount of people they help each day significantly. While the challenge seemed too great for the center, they stepped up and made it happen. We've also seen in 2020, for the first time, a Black woman and an openly gay man run for president. We've had more members of our LGBTQ community run for and win those offices than ever before. On our state level, our COVID response was being led by one of the most intelligent doctors in Pennsylvania. Who happened to be a trans woman. No one really knew who she was until she had to deal with COVID. Then once people realized who she was and that she was trans, the hatred started. And how did she respond? Simply by doing her job. And she stepped up and spoke for the entire community. And I quote, she said, "Your actions perpetuate a spirit of intolerance and discrimination against LGBTQ individuals. and a spirit of intolerance and discrimination, specifically against transgender individuals. I have no room in my heart for hatred, and frankly, I do not have time for intolerance. Dr. Levine, along with those first running for office, those that won and those that lost, and the local activists and community leaders I mentioned earlier, stood as a shining example, not only to our LGBT community, but also to the entire city of Reading. So when we think about the craziness of last year, let's remember the good that came from it. Let's remember that when good people work together on good things, they can truly change the world. It truly wasn't that long ago that a group of friends talking at a bar decided that Reading should have its own Pride Festival. And years later, some of those same friends had the same thoughts about an LGBT center. Now here on the steps of City Hall, standing alongside our mayor and other elected officials, with a thriving LGBT community, and about to celebrate our 15th Pride Festival later this year. Who would have thought? Certainly, that group of friends didn't know what their conversation would result in. And though many of them are still actively involved in Reading Pride and the LGBT Center, most of them could only dream of the impact that their conversation and work would mean to all of us. So as we celebrate the beginning of a summer of pride and raise our beautiful flag over our city, I urge you, take a look at the people standing up here with me. Then take a look to your left and to your right. These are your family members, those that will stick by you and fight for you and with you. And like those friends in the bar having that conversation, ask yourself, what can you do better to continue the progress? And how can we make our city better for future LGBTQ generations and everyone else? Thank you again for being here with us. Happy Pride, everyone. And now it is my great honor to introduce our state senator, Judy Swain.
I love that welcome, and I feel so welcome here among my people who I care about, and I know you care about others and myself as well. And I want you to know, over the years, as I've watched, and I've been involved in government for many, many years now, I've watched as this community expands and grows, and in our diversity, we are not all the same, right? We have so many different nationalities represented in addition to our gender identification. We truly are a community, and you've done so much to make our community better. But I want to speak to you today specifically about the citation that I have from the Senate of Pennsylvania. Whereas Reading Pride Celebration has organized a raising of the Pride flag above Reading City Hall in recognition of the beginning of Pride Month on June 1st, 2021. Every year during the month of June, Pride Month is a time to recognize the wonderful contributions members of the LGBTQ plus community make to society, celebrate their achievements, and offers a reminder of how much progress is yet to be made. This year, to kick off Pride Month in the greater Reading area, Reading Pride Celebration, members of the LGBTQ plus community, and a few of my local elected officials with me will convene at Reading City Hall to raise the Pride flag, an action that will signal unity and raise awareness for this important month of advocacy. Additionally, Pride Month is an opportunity to remember the history of the gay rights movement and be inspired by the stories of leaders here in Pennsylvania who began fighting for equality back in 1965 in Philadelphia by borrowing tactics from the civil rights movement, organizing sit-ins and other forms of peaceful protest. The Commonwealth has made significant progress in the intervening 5.5 decades. However, more work must be done to ensure members of the LGBTQ+ community are not subject to discrimination. And events like this flag raising serve as a clarion call for each of us to stand up and overcome the barriers of ignorance and intolerance with the imperative of achieving that unity I talked about, understanding and harmony in communities across the Commonwealth. Now therefore, the Senate of Pennsylvania congratulates Reading Pride Celebration and all members of the community on the raising of the Pride flag at Reading City Hall in recognition of Pride Month. I am so glad to be the one from the Senate that's here representing and having this opportunity. You truly are my community too. Thank you all so much. Now it's my distinct honor to welcome my colleague to the podium, State Representative Manny Kuzman. Manny?
Hey everybody, equal rights for all. Equal rights for all. That's what we're fighting for. So remember today as we raise this flag, what we're continuing to fight against. You know, just last week in Harrisburg, there was a vote on the table that would remove homosexuality from the indecent statutes. And while I was very proud to vote to remove racist and bigot language from our Constitution, unfortunately, every member of the Republican legislature voted against it, including all of the Republican legislators who represent Berks County. Don't boo. I need you to contact them. Okay, this is what my message today is about. This is a great celebration, and we are honored and humbled that it is here in the city of Reading. But there are many brothers and sisters across the county who don't have a government, a local government who's allowing them to do this. We all know what local politicians can do. Ain't that right, Michelle? Just a couple years ago.
That's right, absolutely.
We know the power of local politicians and the control that they can have of whether or not people, the American people, have an opportunity to participate in their government. So be prideful today that your flag, our flag, is being raised. But tomorrow, I need you to hit those airwaves. I need you to hit those phones. I need you to hit those emails. And I need you to ask all of our Republican colleagues in the State House representing Berks County why they voted against and why they continue to vote against language that is discriminatory against all communities, specifically against the LGBT community. So I hope that you are inspired today and you are hopeful, forever hopeful, because this American dream that we are building, it is an awesome American dream. There are more of us than there are of them. Remember that. There are more of us than they are of them. So we are in a fight, not only for our democracy, but we are in a fight for equal rights for all people. So don't forget your place in that fight. This is a democracy. This is not a spectator sport. So thank you for showing up here today. Thank you for showing your pride. Thank you, the mayor, for opening up City Hall as he always does. But tomorrow, let's hit those airwaves. Thank you. Now, of course, being as though this is the first time, because we didn't have a state rep here last year in the 127th, and now we got one. So I wanted to make sure that I did my part this year in recognizing the LGBT Center of the city of Reading. I want you all to have these flowers while you can smell them. And I know you wasn't expecting it, Michelle, but I wanted to make sure that you knew, that I knew, and that the House of Representatives know that you have a champion in us, that you have a champion in our state delegation that's fighting for our people every day, and I want you to know that every day you're recognized for everything that you do. So Michelle, please come on up here and accept this. Awesome. So now, who's next? Donna. Thank you. Always remember to vote. And now, thank you. That's a very important topic. And now, without much further ado, I want to introduce our great councilwoman, Donna Reed. Donna is always a champion and is always present for us. So Donna, thank you for being here with us. Mike is yours.
I think it's a virtual mic since we don't have one, so I'll try to speak loudly. The mayor has said and consistently says we are each other's neighbors. I look around here and I see neighbors. You used to be my neighbors in Center Park. It's good to see you. I see Ben, who is my neighbor in the great 5th District, and I see everyone because we are, as Mayor Eddie says, each other's neighbors. It is my joy to be here, to be supportive, as all of us are and need to be, of our democracy, of everyone in our country, everyone in our community. Equal rights are everyone's rights, and we all have a voice. And as our state representative has said, and as our senator has said, use that voice. Use that voice in the airways. Use that voice in correspondence. Use that voice at the voting booth. Use that voice to say we are all going to be counted, and that we all make a decision in who represents us on every single level of government. I have a commendation here, and this is really actually for the Reading Pride celebration. So because time is limited, I need to get back in for a special meeting of council. I'm going to save this for our Reading Pride celebration. But I want you to know that all of council, I'm happy to represent all of council who join with the mayor and join with everyone in our support of every single person in this city. Every single person. And our pride in the community that is here today, and our neighbors and our friends and all the good things everyone is doing to get their voices out, to make sure that their cause is represented. In 2 years, we have a major celebration occurring in the city of Reading. It is our 275th anniversary of the founding of Reading. Under the leadership of our mayor and the steering committee out of the city, we are looking for partners to celebrate that joyous moment. And of course, we're looking for a great Reading Pride celebration that year, as well as a celebration in the pride we all have in our city. So I invite you all to join us for the 275th anniversary, to join us in events that will be celebrating our city, from the indigenous folks who were here long before any of us, to the last person who will have stepped in 2023 to decide that Reading is the place to be, is the joyous community we know it all is. So thank you all very much for being here. It's so great to see everyone, the different ages, the different folks that are here, and I'm so glad that the generation that followed mine experiences of freedom in the I always have the initials wrong, so excuse me. Let me get it right, the LGBTQIA community, that the generation following mine has been able to stand up and stand proud, and we're so happy for that. So thank you all. I have to go into a council meeting, but this will be presented at the Reading Pride celebration. Thank you all for all the work you do for our beautiful city and our beautiful people.
Hello again, everybody. So it's my great honor to introduce our next speaker, Michelle Deck, who I mentioned earlier, of the LGBT Center of Reading.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yes. It's a hard to follow Representative Kuzman, let me tell you. That voice really carries. And thank you, Representative, for the accommodation. I didn't see that coming, so appreciate that. So, thank you for all being here and joining us for this momentous event. As the celebration of Pride begins this month, I ask you to reflect on the following. Each of the colors on the Pride flag represents something important to be recognized. Red represents life. precious gift we honor by living and loving authentically. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you really are. Orange is healing, recognizing and respecting the process, reflection on the sometimes difficult road to living our truth, forgiving those along the way that may not have been supportive, and loving those that stood by us. Yellow represents the sun, honoring and living in the light that guides us on our path. The sun is needed to turn rain into a rainbow. Blue is representative of peace. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., if we are to have true peace within, our loyalties must transcend our race, tribe, and class so that we are all seen, heard, and loved. Violet represents spirit. As we live our purpose, we draw upon the source of our strength, courage, and resilience to stand tall among our community while standing for those who live their truth in silence. The flag represents hope in the face of adversity and the strength of community. It's also important to recognize and honor the significance of the progressive flag. It's inclusive of people of color, indigenous folks, and trans and non-binary people. In closing, we would like to thank the City of Reading, Mayor Moran, Reading Pride Celebration, all the speakers that joined us here today, and most importantly, all of you for being here with us. Pride is not just a day or a month. It's a state of mind that should be celebrated 365 days a year. Thank you so much, everybody. Happy Pride.
All right, everyone. So another great honor to introduce on behalf of U.S. Representative Chrissy Houlihan, Curtis Miller.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction. I don't really have any remarks. Unfortunately, Chrissy was not able to come tonight, but she's so supportive of this community. It was a huge reason for her run for Congress, and a big part of what she does down in D.C. On behalf of our community. So I won't take up too much of your time, but I did want to commemorate this celebration, also with a commendation from Chrissy. You able to accept this?
Lastly, we have our wonderful mayor to make some closing remarks, and then both of us have a surprise for you all after.
Thank you, Senator Castro. Truly grateful once again to have heard all the wonderful speakers. I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for being here once again. I cannot say that enough. Those watching online, and all the allies for supporting the LGBTQ plus community. Earlier, when I first came to the podium, I spoke about how I was keeping up to my word that when I said last year that in Reading, we will raise the pride flag every year that I am in office. Well, here we are, about to raise it for the third time, and it gives me great honor and pleasure to do so. But before we do so, let me share some thoughts on why it is so important. While Pride has become a celebration worldwide, it fills with pain, struggle, loss, and discrimination, to say the least. The LGBTQ plus community has been around since ever, inserted in our daily lives. Yet, for far too long, they were not recognized. They were not acknowledged. They were not respected. However, nothing stopped their fight for equality. A fight that has opened many doors and advanced their cause. But we are not there yet. And in Reading, there is so much more that can be done. Today, I invite you to become an ally. We are not asking you to change your beliefs, We are asking you to respect them. We are not asking you to speak the language. We are asking you to respect their choices. We are not asking you to hug each of them. However, if you do so, that would be amazing. But I am asking that you show compassion and to show love. Love means a smile, opening a door, offering to hear their struggles, to help them find help when a risky situation. Love is just a small gesture. Now, I want to talk to you here, or if you're watching from a distance, who identified as a lesbian, gay, transsexual, queer, or different. Let me tell you something. You are strong. You are loved. And you are not alone. I normally don't say this, but within my own family, I have people who have suffered because they had to hide. Close family, I should say. Stops today. Stops. We have to put ourselves and become allies, as I just stated. I am your friend. I love you. And here in Reading, we celebrate diversity. We are a rich, culturally diverse city. And we are attractive. And we are powerful. Unstoppable. And we are all of that because of you. Without our people, we are concrete, buildings, and mountains. It is because of you that you make Reading shine. You make Reading thrive. You make Reading better. You make Reading proud. And for that, I thank you. And then once again, I thank each and every one of the speakers here today. I do want to read a proclamation that I have on behalf of the city, where it reads, whereas June 1st marks the beginning of Pride Month worldwide, and whereas the city of Reading has to celebrate, support, respect, and love the contribution the LGBTQ community makes to our city, and whereas we have organizations such as Reading Pride Celebration, the LGBT Center for Greater Reading, the One Love Project, among others, that does a remarkable job educating, defending, and advocating for the LGBTQ+. And whereas the Progress flag, also known as the Pride flag, is raised in front of City Hall as a reminder to everyone that in Reading, we welcome, include, celebrate, and support the LGBTQ+ community. And whereas we must continue to pursue a city where everyone is treated equally, regardless of their sexual orientations or gender identity. And whereas the city of Reading and I express sincere pride to the LGBTQ+ community for being valued and distinguished members of our community, pushing us to do more and become more accepting and inclusive every day. Now, therefore, with great honors, I, Eddie Moran, Mayor of this great city of Reading, do here proclaim June 2020 as Pride Month. Now, as it was alluded a few minutes ago, once we raise the flag, don't leave. We do have another surprise that we would like to share and would welcome that everyone take a part of. So if you would please join Enrique and Michelle and I to raise the flag.
Yeah, there's a blackbird. Blackbird. A lot of people are getting flags. I thought it was the only one actually having a flag.
Yep.
Someone grab the bottom so the bottom doesn't touch the floor. Thank you.
Oh, good idea.
No, that was the bottom.
Wind.
Okay.
Wind, stick it in.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my brother.
No.
Wind knew his help. Yeah, that's good.
Chico's here.
There you go. There you go.
Clap it up for
You have to
Chico.
bring it around. No, you're going to be all right. Drink.
No sé, Chico.
I'm talking to flag. That's soft.
Stuck?
Yeah, so we did, we've gotten, I think it's a compromise.
All right, everybody, before you leave, the mayor said this is not the first time we're raising that flag. I'm sorry to make a quick correction. It's actually the second year in the row that we're raising that flag. So the first year was absolutely amazing. Raising it for the second time makes it a tradition. So we're gonna fight to make sure that happens every year in this wonderful city. So to celebrate our second year with you, I believe it was Marie Antoinette that said this, let them all eat cake. Or maybe it's just because I'm fat.
Congratulations, everybody.
Mayor.
All right. Blessings. Yes, sir.
If anybody wants a picture of the cake before we cut it, feel free.
I think our congressman wants to.
Oh, okay.